Houston of The Delicious Revolution, and today we're going to make one of my favorite raw dishes. It's a cranberry dill rice with the little phony quotation mark things. It's actually not rice at all, of course, because rice needs to be cooked. Well, you can eat raw rice, which is really good for you. It's a little hard to get your hands on. So we mimic the texture of rice with a few different things. We could use cauliflower. In our case, we're going to use parsnips. So we're going to cut these up into doable pieces. I'm going to start doing that now. And we want to get about a cup or so of rice, and then we're going to add some lemon and oil to that so that it softens the parsnip. I don't have to do too much work on the chopping here because I have a food processor. If you do not have a food processor, you'll want to talk whoever else you're feeding into doing the mundane task of mincing your parsnip until it is as small as rice, because that's not very much fun. So let me just make sure I don't chop a finger off here while I'm telling you what we do. Now the only reason that I'm chopping this at all is obviously because parsnips won't fit in there, and also because our texture will come out more uniform size if the pieces that are in there are about the same size chunks. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there. And the recipe for this is on the site, so you don't have to write anything down. I never do, and what I write down is an approximation anyways. You should just feel free to go nuts and do what you think is right. So that looks like we'll probably get about a cup and a half or 2 cups. If I need more, we can always chop more and add it. So let's go ahead and pulse this. Looking good. Okay, now you can use this even finer. I have somewhere a cross between a couscous, a small couscous grain, and a rice grain. So this is how I like mine because it marinates, it gets a little more soft in the lemon and in the olive oil, so I like mine a little small. But totally depends, totally up to you. If you like your rice more firm, you're definitely going to want to keep your parsnip sizes a little bit bigger. And I'm going to show you what happens here. Set this right on out of the way. There will be a few chunks in here that are kind of big. No worries, we can just pick those out and eat them because parsnip is delicious. It's like a carrot. If you haven't eaten it raw before, it's kind of like a carrot. Only has a little, I don't know, more starchy kind of flavor than a carrot does, but they're good. They're really good. So let's go ahead and get this in here. Let's peek around, see if I have any big chunks. See? That one escaped the blade. So we're going to take that one on out. I'll eat that. I won't eat it on camera now because I'll sound like Bud was crunching like crazy. I'm going to set that aside for a second. There we go. Okay, now all we need to do to soften this baby up is add a little bit of olive oil. We're going for a couple of tablespoons here. My pour is a little bit slow because it makes a real thin stream, which is nice for plating food, but it's not so nice for waiting. We're also going to add some salt. This is a Himalayan salt. I like this one, but any salt will do. Just make sure you're not using table salt, which is iodized. The next thing we're going to need is some fresh lemon juice. Let's just try one and see how juicy. This looks like a nice juicy lemon. This ought to do it. And the great thing about this dish is it tastes really good now, like if we eat it once it's finished, but it'll taste really good tomorrow. When it marinates in the lemon and the olive oil with the salt, it gets nice and soft and it soaks up the flavor. We're going to add cranberries and dill to it too, so that's going to add a little more flavor to the sauce. And by the next day, the parsnip has just soaked up all that delicious flavor and it's amazingly good. Okay. I used to make this dish, as a matter of fact, I still do, and we enjoy cooked dishes. Of course, not when we're on a cleanse, a raw food cleanse, but it's great with brown rice instead. And instead of green onion, I use a yellow onion, and I just lightly saute that before I add the cooked brown rice, and that dish is amazing. That is in the Delicious Revolution cookbook, by the way, so you can check that out there if you'd like. Okay, so we are going to stir this in. Make sure that's all coated in the olive oil. All right, that looks good. Just gonna give this a little pinky taste here and see if it needs any more salt. Nice. We're gonna add a little more olive oil there. I want this well coated. And we're gonna crack in the fresh cracked black pepper. Go nuts if you like a lot. Hold back if you're not so big on it. Me, I love it. So I'm gonna crack like crazy here for a minute. Nice. I could use just a dash more salt. I'm gonna mix that in and let that set aside here. We're gonna go ahead and take some green onions. Now you actually want to use a fair amount of the white portion of these onions. I take the very, very white parts off, and I'm gonna save those to flavor a sauce later on. But I do want these light parts. They're strong, but not too bold that they're gonna overpower the dill and the cranberry. So they'll make a delicious addition to this rice. And we wanna end up with about a cup or so of these green onions, so I may have some left over here. That looks about right. We're gonna get those in there so they start softening up and they start flavoring the parsnip. And next we're gonna add the dill and the cranberries. So let's go ahead and chop this dill. I've taken it off the stalk, that's all I've done, so you don't want those hard little stems in there. But these itty bitty stems that run down the middle, those are fine. They actually taste really good. You just don't want the stalky ones because they have a too firm of a texture and they don't add much to the flavor. So we're just gonna give this a little fine chop here. It doesn't have to be too little. Alright. And the bright green of the dill and the green onions contrasted with the pale buttery yellow color of the parsnip and the bright red of the cranberry. It's a good looking dish when it's all done. Side. Alright. Now, I love this with a tzatziki sauce, which is like a Greek yogurt sauce, except on raw cleanse, of course, we'd be making the yogurt dish with a creamy macadamia nut base. That's covered in Rock and Body Raw Foods as well, how to do that. But I like to take this rice, this cranberry dill rice, and wrap it in either grape leaves that have been marinated. Those are really good because they have a nice tang to them. If you don't have grape leaves around, that's okay. You could just use a green leaf or red leaf lettuce and get the leaves cleaned and dried and lay them flat. Take the hard stem out of the middle and just roll a little dolmas out of this. Just put some in the middle and wrap it up and off you go. And that makes a great picnic dish or a lunch to go. If you're doing a raw foods cleanse but you need something to take to work with you, that's a great way to go. Not too messy. All right, there we go. So I'm just gonna clean the edge of this up a little bit for you. And then we'll give you a nice peek of this dish. And we'll get it plated and have a nice photo of it up on the site for you along with the dish. But that is how she looks. Cranberry dill rice, raw, delicious, and ready to go in under 15 minutes. Delicious.